And we are back at it again, folks, with another outdoor landscape transformation that is absolutely going to blow your mind. That's right, we're talking about a landscape drainage solution on this landscape that is going to give the customer back their landscape by providing them with the solution to the landscape drainage problems while also enhancing their outdoor living experience. Now, if you just take a look at this landscape, you can see where we're going, but it may be a little hard to tell. So let me take you through step by step. Now, as you can see right here in this area, we have a lot of erosion that's happening on the landscape. That is evident based on the erosion pattern that we see here. That erosion pattern allows us to know that water is falling off of the path of least resistance, which will be this hillside, and it's moving down to this area here. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up with a design, and one of the ways that I've been able to effectively solve landscape drainage problems is the way in which I come up with my designs for the dry creek bed. And that's right, folks, back at it again with another dry creek bed. We're going to be creating a special dry creek bed. Now, this dry creek bed is going to be one that hasn't been done by many before, but it's going to have an actual moat on the inside of it. That's right, it's going to have an area that has just decorative river rock, and it's also going to be able to collect water. So this moat that we're going to be putting right here is also going to stop the water that's coming down this hillside. It's going to hit this moat, it's going to fall down like a ping pong ball down to the path of least resistance, and then the water that's coming through this fence line here, guys, it's a tremendous amount, is going to be able to hit this particular area like a ping pong ball, and it's going to bounce off of the water. We're going to take this down just a little bit more so that way we have a fall. But as you can see, once we get here, we have a perfect fall that takes us down on this landscape, moving us through this landscape all the way down to this particular area here. Now, this area here being that of a drain box. Now, that drain box is going to be sufficient enough for us to take in all the water that's moving onto this landscape. So if you can see what I've done, I've allowed myself to collect the water that's coming off of the hillside naturally by putting my dry creek bed right up against it. Then I've also allowed myself to concentrate it on where the water comes out most increasingly by being able to start my dry creek bed there. But then in addition, I've also concentrated on an area where water is also moving on this landscape, and I've allowed it to create a path of least resistance that would have encompassed the drainage system that I've already created within this dry creek bed. So one of the reasons why we put a dry creek bed in, guys, is not only because the water has deteriorated an entire landscape where you can actually see the water has torn up your landscape, but it's also for those areas that have a hillside. So when you look at this landscape and you understand that this hillside has a tremendous amount of water that comes off of it, and by doing so, it creates erosion. And so what we don't want is a landscape that is going to always be impacted by erosion. So we went with a multitude of things here, one of those being the dry creek bed. The next one's going to be the way in which we install our beautiful Xeon Zoysia sod that's going to be able to take in all of the erosion that's happening on this landscape, most of it due to the fact that there's not a good grass back here. So we're going to have a grass that's absolutely going to last, that being the Xeon Zoysia sod. That's some of the best grass your money can buy. But then we're also going to come back with our erosion control fabric and our custom decorative gravel. I'm going to be putting decorative gravel on this landscape, guys. That's going to give this customer an outdoor seating area. It's just going to give them an outdoor entertainment area, but it's also going to make sure that an area that always stayed muddy never has to experience that again. Even when it rains, they're going to be able to come out and enjoy this space. Now, this is some of the DIY that the homeowner had with the additional decorative gravel. We're going to be taking that to the back for the customer, but we have the nice eggshell decorative gravel, and that's also going to take place here. Everywhere else, as you can see, we've tied in gutter downspouts. We've put landscapes into a position so that they never have to be worried about being occupied again. And it said that the decorative gravel, along with the erosion control fabric, with a beautiful Xeon Zoysia sod, is absolutely going to solve this landscape. But I want to take you through this so that you can see exactly what I did, guys. In this design, I wanted to make sure that I gave the customer more quality, more quantity of service than that of what's expected. So I had to go a little bit over and beyond in order to try to save them some money in their pocket. Now, we all know landscape drainage can be extremely expensive, so we're going to be taking that water that comes out of the gutter downspouts, and that's right, there's a tremendous amount, guys. We're going to be tying it in into this particular drain. That water is now going to come off of this particular drain, which was eating their grass away. And it's going to go into this particular drain here that we've created. It's going to go off to the backside. There's actually a swell over there on the backside of the landscape that takes water in. So you can imagine how much water was moving through here. But it also says we're going to be able to put in nice, beautiful Xeon Zoysia sod in this area. So the customer will never, look at that, just never have to worry about an erosion problem on this hillside. Now, in addition to that, guys, one of the next things we're doing is we're taking that water that comes off of the hillside the most, which is right here in this area, and we're eliminating it by putting it into a dry creek bed thought process that's going to be able to take that water up under the ground. That being, when it goes up under the ground, it's going to be going through this channel drain system here, and then it's going to be releasing itself off the back side of the property. So sometimes you're not able to pay to have your entire landscape with a beautiful dry creek bed, and that's okay. We have solutions, and here's a great way for you to also provide for your landscape a solution that allows you to have a beautiful dry creek bed, but also add an additional solution that's just said that by adding the decorative gravel, by tying in all the gutter downspouts, and by adding a premium sod, we didn't have to worry about going all the way down with that dry creek bed, as every single one of those that I mentioned are going to be a perfect solution to the amount of water that was already occupying the landscape just from that little hillside, because we've dealt with the water that was coming out of the gutter downspouts, and we dealt with the majority of the water that was moving all the way down to the path of least resistance toward the end of this landscape. So it lets me know that once we get past the steps, we're going to be in a great position to be able to see that the grass, along with the drainage solution and the decorative gravel, folks, this is going to suck up water like nobody's business. This is our large eggshell decorative gravel, and we're also going to have rock. Our decorative gravel is going to be, as you can see right here, it's going to be in this area here, guys, all around. It's going to create an outdoor living experience for the customer. We're going to have our dry creek bed that moves all through the backside of this landscape. Then in addition, we're going to be able to see for ourselves this beautiful design with the decorative gravel going in this area, and then also having that river rock go all the way down through this area. We're going to be putting decorative gravel through the landscape all around, but this is just what we do. And here's that beautiful decorative gravel. As you can see, it's the eggshell size, so it's a nice, beautiful color. Now, if you're in a position looking for a landscape transformation, all you have to do is go to www.quotemylandscape.com. That's www.quotemylandscape.com. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that like button. Stick around for our after video of this amazing landscape transformation that's about to take place over 4 pallets of Zeon Zooja, a beautiful decorative dry creek bed, and we're going to be putting in the decorative gravel, and it's absolutely going to transform this landscape. That's just what we do right here at Brooks Landscaping, brought to you by the Landscape Geek Learning Academy. See you guys again on our next episode of Brooks Landscaping.